Okay, now our last speaker for tonight and for this GE2015, round of applause for Mr. Pwee.
Good evening. Just before I start, I'd like to explain a little bit why there are two colors today. The red t-shirts from SPP and the orange t-shirts from DPP. So I'm going to ask if my DPP colleagues to come on my right-hand side and our candidates to come on my left. Come on up very quickly. Celine as well. DPP on my right and candidates, all candidates on my left, please. So most of you know that we have a partnership between two parties, the Democratic Progressive Party and the Singapore People's Party. And we have got 5 plus 5, which is 10 in the total team before us. 5 candidates on our side, a mixed team from SPP and DPP, and 3 out of 5 of our DPP people that you've seen us review over the past few weeks. There's Nadine Yap, Robin, Celine, come over here. This is Celine, Chia Celine. Edwin Fernandez is not with us today. He's away on an overseas trip. And my ASG, Wilfred, who was here the last election, is also not available. 5 of them on the DPP side, and then our candidates here. And we are here as a 5 plus 5 extended team to serve Bishan Toa Payoh together. And I'd just like to say that if two parties can together work collaboratively in Bishan Toa Payoh, then why can't 2 or more parties work collaboratively in Parliament together for the sake of Singapore? Correct? So we'd like to demonstrate here in Bishan Toa Payoh that it is possible for political parties to support, partner, collaborate with each other for the good of Singapore and not fight with each other anymore. Thank you very much. 其實我本來是想今晚用中文，然後轉一轉廣東話，用廣東話同大家傾下，但是時間不多哈，時間不多，然後大家也知道過去幾天，我每次出來講話都是用華語，不然就是用廣東話講，所以今晚咧期望大家原諒我，俾我用多啲時間用英文講一講 ，OK？ 今天我是希望能够用全英跟大家沟通一下，有几个原因。上一次前几天在大巴窑 Stadium， 绝大部分大巴窑的人主要新语华语比较多，碧山大巴窑比较多我们叫 PMET 什么，就会讲华语跟父母亲可能也会讲广东话，讲福建话，但是可能你听英语比较顺So 今天就大家多多请原谅，我用英语来去解释一下，解释一些国家大事哈。So let me just use English today so that I can address the majority of all of you. I do know that a lot of you have Chinese or Cantonese or Hokkien as your heart language, and Mr. Law has spoken his very best Champo Hokkien, what else, Teochew, everything in to really talk to you. But I like to use English because we're going to go into a very serious time now to look at the issues one by one. And I also like to say, the last time we were here, this hall, this stadium was packed at 15,000 people. And as our team went to greet residents this morning at the Bishan MRT and Braddell MRT, we were telling everybody, come tonight, 7 p.m. rally, come and support us. And the majority of the people told me, no need, Mr. Pwee, we support you, you have our vote already, just go ahead. So I'd like to tell you that there are more who are not here who've already decided to support and vote for us than you realize. So who are those of you who are here? I think those of you who are here, one, you are probably our fans, and definitely Mr. Cham's fans. And please, go ahead and cheer for him. Mr. Cham, yay! And another reason is because I think, based on our last GE, there were a lot of people who came to me after that to say, hey, Mr. Pwee, you know, I voted for you at the last GE because I was sitting in those stadium and I came with questions in my mind and I wanted you to answer them. So there is a big group of people today with questions in your mind that you want answered, and I want to respect that, I want to respond to that. And perhaps many of them are sitting on the grandstand, right? The fans are out here standing, right? Okay, how many of you went to the PAP Bishan Toa Payoh rally yesterday? Nobody? Oh, that means, okay, can we all welcome Mrs. Cham on stage, please? Thank you, Mrs. Cham. Thank you. So I'd like to tell you that at the PAP rally last night, we were at the Potong Pasir rally, and then we went back and I quickly went online to try and see what did our PAP team say about us. You know, we released a manifesto. You know, we have spoken at the Potong Pasir rally, we've spoken at the Toa Payoh rally, we've also spoken at Hong Kong rally. And guess what? Yesterday, the Bishan Toa Payoh team didn't even respond to what we said at all. They responded to what Workers' Party said. Hello, Workers' Party competing in Bishan Toa Payoh, is it? Hello? And then the minister, the five of them mentioned things that we never even say. So Josephine Teo said, oh, the opposition wants to tear our house down and instead build a castle in the air. Since when did we ever talk about tearing a house down? So I want to tell you why this is serious. And listen to me very carefully. The last time we came, 43.7% of you voted for us. There is 43%, that's a very high percentage for our first time, right? And for 43.7% of people who voted against the PAP, this time round, the PAP doesn't even bother to consider their opponents who you voted for the last time. If they haven't been listening to you for the past 4 years as your MPs, they certainly are not listening to you now. So I'm going to show you that we have listened to their speech last night, and I will respond to our fellow competitors on this rally. And I'm going to start with a quote from Mr. Ng Eng Hen that I'm going to say, I agree, totally agree. I think he got it right. Right? He says, there's a new generation arising and political dynamics are changing. Therefore, the next government might not be totally PAP, the next government must be more collaborative, more accommodative, and more flexible. Yes, agree. And then he says, the outcome of this GE will set the tone for the future generations and determine the kind of politics the next generation will have. Do we want to precipitate a kind of politics that is factional, fighting, combative politics? His obvious answer is no, and neither do we. So, Mr. Ng Eng Hen and my fellow, opposition, they oppose us, right? Yeah, my fellow PAP competitors, let's go into a clean, gentlemanly fight on the issues today, and let's meet in Parliament and have that collaborative, accommodative, flexible government that we want together as a team. Ng Eng Hen also said yesterday at his rally, he said, after the GE, it is then time to put aside the differences, bring in the ideas, listen to the problems raised, and let's talk about it. Well, we would love to put aside the differences, bring in the ideas, listen to the problems raised, and let's do it together in Parliament, because you will send us to Parliament to talk to them. There's another thing that Ng Eng Hen said yesterday. He says, we have to give our younger generation more than we receive and not pass on the debt to them. Okay, from an economic angle, from a political angle, I completely understand what he's saying, totally. However, our young people are already going into debt today, not about debt tomorrow. Our old people also are in debt today. Don't talk about tomorrow. Our older people need what the previous generation before has done, but the money is not here. So if we cannot, let me say this again, if the PAP cannot secure our today, how can you trust them to secure our future for tomorrow? Satyandi said something very interesting yesterday also. He said, Singapore is like rojak. Do you remember he said that? He said, Singapore is like rojak, and we've been perfecting the recipe over 50 years. Thank you. That's one of my supporters. Hey, round of applause for him. I'll tell you why Singapore is like Rojak. I totally agree. Singapore is like Rojak. You know why? Because Singapore is like Rojak and every single policy is so mixed up. There are so many different things inside one single policy that every single policy misstep, every single policy is Rojak. Our housing policy is Rojak. The market cannot even predict. Our healthcare policy is Rojak. Do you know how many different legacy healthcare policies are mixed up together? Our COE policy is Rojak. Right? COE policy control costs. Then after you got ERP, then whatever else coming in. Thank you. Power to SPP. And our CPF policy is also Rojak. I hope so. I hope so. I'm going to also give 2 quotes from Josephine Teo, and I'm going to go into my actual speech for tonight. Thank you. I love you too. That's what Brian Long said, right? A community full of love. Josephine Teo says, opposition points out our shortcomings. Correct? We point out our shortcomings, yes? So answer is yes! We point out your shortcomings for sure. And then opposition brushes means ignore, brushes over the big decisions we've made. Hello? 6.9 million is a big decision. You think we brush over? We're talking about it now, okay? Hello? No minimum wage, big decision also, you know? We're also talking about today. So I'd like to start tonight's rally. Teo, CCA. I should invite him on stage and let him talk. I'm going to ask you to consider our message tonight in 3 letters and another 3 letters. Mr. Chiang, we love you, yes. 1, Bishan Toa Payoh, BTP. I'm going to first talk about the big issues of today. T, I'm going to talk about the town council, exactly, thank you very much. And then P, I'm going to talk about parliament and what does it mean to select your MP. Then I'm going to give you a solution which is 3 letters also. S for scrutiny, P for progress, and P for people, the SPP. So let me go in now. PM said that, international affairs, Singapore-Malaysia relationship, US-China relationship, all these big things, how can you not have PAP handle it? You must have PAP handle it. The opposition cannot handle this. Don't worry, exactly. You know why you don't need to worry? Me, Mr. Ben Pwee, I was from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So you got me, you don't need to worry. Correct. Thank you. When I started in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I started handling China. Some of you may know, I was Mr. Lee Kuan Yew's interpreter and note-taker for 6 years that he went around in China. And the Singapore Suzhou Industrial Park project was one of my baby. I was in charge of that with a whole host of other people. The Singapore Suzhou Industrial Park project was an attempt for Singapore to model our model in Singapore, and the intention was that we would earn money from overseas and plow it back to Singapore to increase our economy. But instead, we moved our manufacturing from Singapore over to China, and a whole lot of Singaporeans lost their job in Singapore. And how long ago was that? Did you know about that? Was the Singapore Suzhou Industrial Park discussed in Parliament? All of you consulted before it happened? Singapore-Malaysia relationship, I handled that when I was in MFA. Singapore-Malaysia relationship, you know, tit for tat. They charge higher fee, we charge higher fee. They do this, we do that, right? Do we get to discuss and understand Singapore-Malaysia relationship? The biggest last issue around Singapore-Malaysia relationship was when Mas Salamat crossed over the causeway, came back, and then we all know, right? Wong Kan Seng took the beat for that at the last election here in Bishan Toa Payoh. Singapore-Indonesia relationship went into a lull for many years before it thawed, and now we're on track. Did you know about that? Was that discussed in Parliament? Did your MPs raise that with you? Singapore-US relationship, we've got military bases in Singapore because we want the US to be a policeman in the region to balance off some other powers. But do you know how we bent over backwards to allow the US military to be here? Do you even know they exist? Do you? ASEAN economic integration, this is a frightening part. ASEAN economic integration, the 10 countries of ASEAN have integrated and it has already happened. But do you know that under ASEAN economic integration, from 31st of December this year, there is, listen, free flow of skilled labor across all the ASEAN countries. Do you know that? Why not? Some of you may have heard of TPP. Somebody told me, you know TPP? You know what TPP is or not? Don't know, yeah. Somebody, I say, hey, TPP. So, oh, yeah, I know TPP. It's the expressway that go to Tampines, right? TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership, is an economic arrangement being discussed by 12 countries, which Singapore is a part of, that covers intellectual property, labor law, trade, tariffs, and there are a lot of contentious issues. One of the biggest contentious issues is that intellectual property will mean that a doctor can IP the surgery that he does. And so then a doctor can start to charge more for his medical fees, for the medical fees on that. Intellectual property, those of you who have gone to Paul Tambaya's rally, you will know he's spoken up against the pharmaceutical issues related on that because drugs will go up. And other countries, the TPP is being discussed and asked in their parliament. In Singapore, if those of you who go online on the Inconvenient Questions webpage, you'll know, Paul Tambaya asked Minister Shanmugam for details around the TPP. And the answer was, no, it's being discussed, we cannot tell you, it's secret. See, the trouble is, there is a breakdown in the trust of the people with the PAP. And that's why we want transparency, that's why we're asking information, but we're not getting it. And they say, hey, opposition only know how to talk about local issues. Hello, I'm not talking about local issues today. If you want somebody on the international stage, we have got not just me, Nadine, I've got Serlin, I've got Edwin, I've got a full team that has operated, lived overseas, operated regionally, understand the issues. The opposition is not what you think it is. It certainly isn't what they think it is. Let's talk about national issues, since we are on still big issues, right? Last year, last GE2015, the biggest, hottest issue was nationalization of transport. Do you remember we were saying, wow, MRT fee go up, 起价, very, very expensive. So we say, no, the money should be plowed back to the people, we should do nationalization of transport. Guess what? We're not talking about nationalization of transport anymore. You know why? Because we're talking about, will the MRT break down today? We are down to operational issues about the MRT. But of course, the issues don't go away. Transport fees are still going up. The money being earned from SMRT is going to the senior executive's pocket as pay. How much of that goes down to reducing transport fares? Transport fares, government says, will be reduced by the end of the year. Hello, oil prices dropped for how long already? I thought Singapore is like, wow, instant response one. Then this one, a bit slow, huh? At the end of the year, that can happen. Healthcare. The whole of Bishan Toa Payoh, 130 something, about 140,000 people. How many polyclinics, you know? Hello, not none lah. Okay. Those who are in Bishan, you say none, I understand. Because the polyclinic in Bishan Toa Payoh is in Toa Payoh. And one single polyclinic servicing the whole of Bishan Toa Payoh now got Moment and Balestier and Novena some more, okay? Do you know if you go down to bring your parents down to the polyclinic, you wait for 4 hours to see a doctor? And that's even before Moment Kalang, Moment Balestier and Novena has come in. Healthcare, big, beautiful hospitals. Half the time you can't get a bed because it's a bed crunch. Hospital planning takes at least 10 years, if not more. So the fact that we have a bed crunch now was because of a policy misstep 5-10 years ago. And if we're going to fix the policy now, it's only going to happen 5 to 8 years down the road from now before you actually see it. So we are struggling with issues today that has got to do with problems that happened 5-10 years ago when the PAP was in power. And today they say, trust me, vote for the future based on me. I say vote for the future based on the past. Look at their track record. Businesses, most of you who are in small businesses, you know this. Small businesses in Singapore, you get squeezed out by 2 groups of companies. One, our GLCs. We are fighting to return Potong Pasir back to SPP. And those of you who know Potong Pasir, if you've gone down, the big open space in the front, Johnson Duck, where it was a public area, lots of restaurants, a lot of car park, all the public space now going to be one big mall. And after that, the prices for all the little shops in the mall will go up. Then only the big GLCs can come in and open shop. Then all the uncle, auntie with their all little kopitiam, all little chicken rice store, duck rice store, how? No more, close shop, that's it. Yes, we hope we're going to get back to Potong Pasir on the basis of you voting for us. Foreigners. My team has said over and over again, foreigners is not the issue. Some of my best friends are Filipinos. Some of my best friends are Indians. And I've lived many years in China. I've got a lot of good friends who are China. The issue is not foreigners, my friend. The issue is when foreigners came in, when the government opened the tap and let the foreigners in, the government did not control a minimum wage. And the wages were artificially depressed so you can employ a really cheap Filipino worker at probably 1/3 the price of a Singaporean. He's very happy to get the money, and I don't blame him because he's sending his money home. But the Singaporean here cannot live. So the government now say, hey, opposition, ask for minimum wage. You ask for minimum wage, all the SMEs will complain because you raise their costs. So it's opposition's fault. You shouldn't ask for that. The issue that we have today, where the SMEs, the government, the businesses cannot afford higher wages, is because they have been used to depress wages over the past few years. Why? Policy misstep from the past. Let's talk about retirement, right? Mr. Lau talked about retirement. Let's talk about retirement. We are talking about the CPF money, and I'll tell you here, up front, and I got cameras rolling in front of me, CPF is a very complex issue. Really. So if you hear somebody say, sorry, with due respect to my colleagues on all the other opposition parties side, if you say, I want all my money back at age 55, there are a lot of issues to consider. We are here for choice, because there are some people who do not want to take the money back at age 55. And there are some people who, if you give them all the money at 55, you don't know where they spend it. But it doesn't change the fact that the CPF has got an interest rate that is much lower than it should be, because the CPF is where the government grows your wealth. You know what wealth is? 富有. That's your money, where your money grows like in a bank. You do not have more money because government give you grants. You have more money because your money that you put away to save all these years from young is supposed to grow. So, can we have higher CPF interest rates, especially as our older generation goes older, so that the money, the pot of growth goes more? In Hong Kong, in Malaysia, in Japan, in many other countries with very similar CPF models, they also have a wider range of products. It's called financial products. In other words, things that you invest your money in. And they've got other types of products like annuity products. From young, you put money aside. When you hit a certain age, retirement, your own money has grown to a point where they can pay you. Your money can pay you $500 every month. No need to come from government pocket. It comes from an annuity product. Why can't we have that? Endowments is another product that is available, but it's not in our suite of products. So why can't we invite the insurance professionals, the banking professionals, the finance professionals to come here and say, what can we do with our CPF that can grow the money for Singaporeans and grow your wealth? Because as long as we're stuck on CPF, take or don't take or don't pay, you will never get out of this policy situation. And it is very complex. By the way, ex-GIC chief economist Yeo Lam Keong came out recently in response to Mr. Taman and said that if we give Singaporeans at a certain age $500 to $600 every month, and when they hit silver age, they get another $200 every month, which is about $800 in total, it will come up to a total of 0.5% of GDP alone. Okay, maybe 40% cut in the defense budget might be too big and the PAP is reacting to that. Maybe, huh? But why would you react to 0.5% of GDP set aside for the sake of every senior and every poor person in our country to give them a bottom line of $800 a month? Why? There is no reason. Housing, I don't need to say. The reason why you cannot come up with cheap housing anymore is because the public housing market is so distorted. I mentioned about Singapore is a rojak. Our housing policy, our housing market is so rojak that nobody knows how to predict it anymore. So what do you do with that? You cannot solve it by just shouting. And you certainly cannot solve it by just saying, oh, vote the PAP will solve it, because they still haven't solved it. You need new brains, like our team here. So let me give you a track record. We talked about many things, right? Talked about housing, talked about education, talked about healthcare, correct? And I showed you that all these issues today, the problems that we have today, are because of policies that happened 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, correct? These are long-term issues. Do you know that Mr. Ng Eng Hen, who is currently Minister for Defense, in 2004 to 2008, he was Minister for Manpower. 2004 to 2008. 2008 to 2011, he was Minister for Education. And then he moved on to become Minister for Defense. Josephine Teo, she started off in Suzhou with me. She was in Suzhou, I was in Beijing. Right? And then when she came back, she became head of HR manpower, hire people, head of HR for EDB, and then head of HR for A-Star, which is all the scientists and all the biotech people, and then director HR for NTUC. Hey, she should know about manpower, right? And then when she joined politics, subsequently, she became GPC chairman. Chairman, not vice chairman, not member. GPC chairman for education. The last election, 2011, after they won, because of 50-something% of residents here who voted for them, she was made Minister of State for Finance and Transport. Hey, don't forget, one transport minister stepped down, there's still one more person, there's still one more minister in charge of transport sitting here in Bishan Toa Payoh, okay? And then in 2013, she got promoted to become Senior Minister of State for Finance and Transport. Mr. Chee Hong Tat, the newest person that's coming up today, right? Where did he serve in the time in the government? He did his rounds in Ministry of Home Affairs, Finance, Transport, Education, Energy, and Ministry of Trade and Industry. Every single issue that I've listed just now have all happened on their watch. So if they did not do a good job over the past 5, 10 years, and you are suffering the consequences of policy missteps now, do you still want to vote them in again? No! So think, my friend, think. Don't just, I got covered walkway, very happy. I got pavilion, very nice. I got nice park for my kids to play, okay, I vote you in. Hello. The problems you are facing today are because of a group of PAP leaders, including those who are standing for election here now, that have made policies that resulted in the problems today. Fine, agreed. PM may say, we all don't have track record. Hello, hi. We never even go to Parliament where I got track record. So you give us a chance to start a track record, can? So B, Bishan Toa Payoh B for big issues. Now let's talk about T, Town Council. Okay, Town Council. I'm going to read, last night and the night before, I downloaded the Bishan Toa Payoh Town Council reports. There are 3, 2011 to 2012, 2012 to 2013, 2013 to 2014. How many of you have read the Town Council report? You see, residents, cannot like that. This is your home. You must read your Town Council report. Cannot 冇眼睇，要有眼睇。你唔睇人哋呃你，你先知。2011 to 2012, Hri Kumar, who is stepping down by the way, said in his chairman's statement in the Bishan Toa Payoh Town Council report, we have limited budget. After I'll tell you about the limited budget. We have limited budget and it's increasingly difficult to run the town council. He says, I understand that you want so many things, but all of these things that you want, CCTV camera, cover walkway, drop-off point, you go read, it's all inside. All these things that you want, chairman's statement, they all add to costs. And we often therefore have the difficult task of declining, meaning say no, or delaying some requests. A cost issue go up, then they delay a request. I hope residents will understand and support this position. You know what an MP is supposed to do when costs go up and they're supposed to provide facilities for you? They're supposed to go to Parliament and fight for you, not tell you, understand, I cannot give you so many things. And then, in 2012 to 2013 annual report, Hri Kumar says we have increased the S&CC charges in November. It's a bracket that says, haven't been increased since 2004. Okay, fair enough. You increase, okay, I give you that. Cost increase, cost increase, we must increase S&CC charges because of high cost environment. Then he says, our expenses were maintained at last year's level. Hey, expenses didn't increase. And then, listen. So he said, right, S and CC charges increased. Next line. We ended the year with an operating surplus. Operating surplus means after you give out the sinking fund, everything, operating surplus of 2.7 million in the account. 2.7 million operating surplus, and you still increase your S and CC charges. And then sinking fund is $141.5 million in the sinking fund. 2014, he says, we've changed 95% of the estate to LED light, cost efficiency. And then put solar panel, cost efficiency. Hey, but he increased your SC&C, And then he said cost efficiency, and then you bring down the electricity cost. Operating surplus as of 2014 in the annual reports. Remember, 2013 operating surplus is 2.7 million, right? Operating surplus 2014, 8.27 million. Do you know that? And cost is still increasing. Let me do something very simple. If you go through the books, in 2011, the income from car parks was 187,000. Last year, income from car parks from Bishan to Power is 888,000. Pure income, don't need to put in sinking fund one. Almost $1 million. And the increase in SC&C charges is $1 million, if you go and look at the numbers. Do you know that? So now you know. So 冇眼睇，大開眼界睇。Operating surplus 2.7 million to 8.3 million. Accumulated surplus 456,000. Accumulated surplus 456,000, half a million. 456,000 increased to 2.7 million. And then he talks about, residents want more cleaning, residents want dengue to be done better, right? And he says, that we have tried to reach out to residents with personal visits. Now we have reached out to you to try and talk about this. But not only does this add to cost, cleaning and dengue, it does not address the root of the problem, antisocial behavior. Antisocial behavior. He's saying you lah. This will only succeed if residents support and participate in them. It is only through a real and effective partnership that residents of town council can truly make this a home. So I ask you, is there a true and real partnership with the town council and the residents? Go or not? So if 43% of people can vote against the PAP, where got partnership? And I say again, 43% of the people vote against the PAP, and they did not even bother to look at our manifesto or listen to our rallies even to respond to us. That's how much they think about you and your vote for us. I'm going to talk a little bit about what it means, right, to be an MP in a town council. And again, I spent time going through the Town Council Act. How many of you gone through the Town Council Act? 冇眼睇，要睇啦，係咪？ Town Council Act mentions that a town council gets its funding from Ministry for National Development based on a few criteria: number of households, number of units. But there's nothing in the Town Council Act that says that funding from government will be tied to votes or tied to politics. Nothing in the Town Council Act that says that. Do you know that? However, there is a line in the Town Council Act that says the minister may from time to time persuade the minimum amount of funding, grants in aid to be given. The minister, without any reason to be given, can decide that you will have no funding, or $1 funding, or a lot of funding. Nothing in the Town Council Act says what will guarantee that minister will give you the funding that you need. And the other thing I'm going to say is how a town council spends your money is supposed to be in consultation with you as residents, correct? They don't go and knock on every door to talk to you. Hey, where got time? They talk to your representatives. Do you know who your representatives are? Your neighborhood committee members, your RC members, your CCC members. Hey, do they speak for you? Hey, hello, say again lah. Do they speak for you? Hey, how come? The RC is Residents Committee ma, CC is Citizen Consultative Committee ma. Of course they speak for you. Do they speak for you? Why? Careful in public, no vulgarities. Because members in the GROs, grassroots organizations, are appointed, not selected by you all. We went to talk to the peak in Toa Payoh, and they had their own group of residents who want to say, we are the real residents committee. But the official residents committee, they appointed somebody else. And members of the town council are also those who work with the town council chairman to say, yes, we do this, no, we do that. Members of the town council, do you know how they are appointed? Purely by the elected MP who is the chairman of the town council. And there's a line in the Town Council Act that says that the chairman of the town council can revoke the appointment of any member without reason. Wow, if you are appointed as town council member, sure you're very scared, right? Walao, chairman can anytime revoke my membership, so I must better play ball. So GROs, we are calling today for grassroots organizations to be depoliticized and returned back to you, the residents. So you decide. So lastly, as I end, I'm going to say, right, that BTP, B big issues, P T town councils, P parliament, that you are voting for an MP, a member of parliament. What is an MP? You go online, Google to government website. Government 聽清楚啊 government website 唔係 DPP website 唔係 SPP website 唔係 Workers Party website government website. What is an MP? An MP acts as a bridge between the community and the government by ensuring that the concerns of their constituencies are heard in parliament. That is an MP. It doesn't say that the concerns of the PAP government are heard by the residents. Tombalik lah. Then what is a parliament? Again, government website, not me. Government website, government say one, not I say one. Oh, sorry. PAP government say one, not I say one. Functions of a parliament: making laws, controlling the state's finances, and taking up a critical role to check on the actions of the governing party and the ministries. That is what it says. It goes on to say, through questioning the ministers, Parliament makes the government accountable for its actions and allow the public, that means you all, to listen to the spectrum, the range of views and opinions to find out how decisions affecting them are made. This forms an integral part of Parliament's role. 我跟你讲, the problem we have today is that we do not know how decisions are made. We are just told the decision and then you are persuaded that the decision is good for you. So if you want a true MP, not an estate manager, not a social worker, if you want a true MP that brings your concerns to Parliament, vote SPP. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you very much. Now we shall invite our party chairman, Mr. Cham, to say a few words. Mr. Cham, please.
Good evening to all of you. I'm just here to support the team for Bishan Toa Payoh. They are Mr. Ben Pwee, Mr. Hamin, Mr. Abdillah, Mr. Law Kim Pwee, and Brian Law. I ask that you put your faith and trust in them. Vote them in to Parliament. They will run the town council with honesty and integrity, just as we have done in Potong Pasir Town Council for 23 years. If you vote them in, Mr. Cham will be the sweetener. They will be the coffee. And the rest of the other team, like the other professionals, will be the creamer. So you have got 3 in 1. Isn't that good? And they all do this is for the sake of for Singaporeans. And we have a proven legacy that we believe that we can continue with your support. Please support the Bishan Toa Payoh Team GRC. And I must remind you, for those who come here, that you are able to speak and criticize the government. But I must tell you today that there is only about 2 hours left for you to shout and scream and criticize the government. Tomorrow is cooling day. Nobody is allowed to speak against the government, and the candidates are not even allowed to comment in their Facebooks. What you can do is relax, watch television, and have tea and party with all your friends. Anyway, I'm just here to make a short speech, to come here to support the Bishan Toa Payoh team. Thank you and good night.
Would we like Mr. Chiam to say a few words?
Bring over there. Wait. Take the ball.
Is there a mic? I will hold. Is there a mic for me?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to our rally. And thank you very much for being so patient. Thank you. Well, you have heard our speakers speak. Are they all qualified to work in Parliament? Our would-be MPs would be more than interested to debate with any of the PAP MPs.
Yes. Our would-be MPs are more capable than the PAP MPs. And Bishan Toa Payoh.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you and good night. Thank you and good night. Thank you and good night.
Thank you very much.
And good night.
And good night.
Thank you very much and good night. Thank you, Mr. Chiam. If you would join us together to recite the pledge with a hand on your fist. And I hope that you remember and speak the words like democracy, like equality, like justice, like happiness, louder, right? So that PAP can hear us, right? Shall we say it together? Right, 1, 2, 3. We, the citizens of Singapore, pledge ourselves as one united people, regardless of race, language, or religion, to build a democratic society based on justice, equality, so as to achieve happiness, prosperity, and progress for our nation. Thank you, everyone. Vote for SPP. Thank you very much. Good night.